大家好，欢迎来到我的北美生活频道第17期。在前2期的视频里，我带大家参观了一个位于美国伊利诺斯州 Metropolis 的一个小镇上，每年6月份举行的为期4天的一个超人庆祝活动。这期视频里边，我带大家一起追星。主办方请来了3位女星，她们的名字叫 Helen Slater， 就是第一个年长一些的，第二个叫 Erica Durance， 第三个叫 Katrina Lau。我在豆瓣上查到了他们的背景。前2位呢都跟那个女超人的形象有关。第一名是叫 Helen Slater， 她曾经演过女超人。在后边的那个影迷见面会上，她说她55岁了，但是她实际上出生在1963年12月15号。第2名叫 Erica Durance， 她是我的加拿大老乡，出生地在加拿大卡尔加里，我在那个城市生活了15年。她曾经演过超人的剧集，不是电影。第3位叫 Katrina Lau， 我看到她的照片比较觉得面熟，后来才想起来是我看过电视剧，就是很黄很暴力的那个斯巴达克斯的电视剧里边，是他演的是那个斯巴达克斯的最后一个女友。由于我的追星经验不太足，我也没有预想到这种场面，所以我只捕捉到前2位女星的画面。好吧，大家来跟我一起追星。一些曾经扮演过女超人的电影明星今天也会来到现场。现在时间还早，不知道下午或什么时候能不能碰到他们。据说合影很贵的，一张要40块钱。明星来了，赶快！Hey, sir, what's the lady's name? Yeah. Forgot it.
Oh, good. I hope you've got a lot of
I got you.
What?
When Michael Rosenbaum here,
Funny, right?
Titanic.
Okay, let's. Thanks, guys. This is what happens when I'm like. Celebrations for you. I think we're all going to be together now. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's nice. Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
I'm here today on the Real GM stage to introduce two very special people who I've been a huge fan of for many years. as all of you have as well, and this is why this tent is just packed out today. It brings me so much joy to see so many Superman fans and families here. Last year was my first visit to Metropolis, and as soon as I got home, I booked my second trip back because I just knew I couldn't miss another year. But yes, we're all very excited. So first up is a girl who is just super. Ladies, it's an honour to meet you both. I'm going to ask a few questions and then we'll open it up to all these amazing fans who've come to see you today. But first of all, I asked my followers on social media for advice, because when I found out I was going to be doing this gig today, I was nervous beyond belief just to be standing so close to you both. And they gave me lots of advice. But one of the most popular questions was, as this is the Superman celebration, who has been your favourite Superman over the years?
Well, that's the answer I guess I should give, right? No, of course, Tom.
Well done.
We were forced into each other's company for many, many, many long hours, and we had a lot of laughs. That guy has a really good sense of humor, super quiet, but funniest guy on the planet.
And Helen?
Probably Chris Reed, because that's who I grew up with, and that's who
And yeah, it's a question I get asked a lot. So, you know, who's your favourite Superman? And there's been so many, it is hard to choose. But I'm just thankful that more people are playing our favourite hero. Because as long as that is happening, our stories and our love for Superman can grow, which is great. First of all,
Can you just turn the light down or move it a little? It's just so bright to look at you.
We're looking out at you guys, but you're all just these like these little blobs of light.
There we go, that's better.
That's great. Yeah, this middle one too. Yeah, much better. Okay.
For your first day on set as Supergirl.
Oh my goodness, my first day on Supergirl. What I actually remember more so was the first day of training for the part. Like, that really is sort of burned in my brain. I was a brunette when I got the part. I was 18 years old. I was in New York City. And when I moved to England to start work on it, I was training with Alf Joint, who had trained Chris. And I just remember this feeling of like every day, 10 hours a day, doing trampolining and swimming and wire work and all kinds of things to get me in shape for the Supergirl movie. Fencing and yeah.
Lots of work.
I actually don't remember the very first day of shooting. It's a really good question.
Sorry.
I'll see if it burbles up from the bottom, but mostly it was just the beginning of getting that part, and doing that part was such a seismic shift from my life in New York City as a actress wanting to book, you know, any kind of commercial or television job, or so it was just such a shock to have that be the first.
Well, you did it very well. Erica, I keep stopping myself from calling you Lois, so if it does happen, I apologise. Obviously, many episodes of Smallville, many years. Some of the guys on set have been known for their pranks. Were there any sort of pranks set on you over the years whilst filming Smallville? Or can you remember any of your favourite ones?
Oh, well, some I can never ever talk about it. We signed in blood about that one. I think that I was best known for somebody that they could get laughing regardless of what was happening. So, I can't really think of like a specific. Oh, you know, Michael was always being Michael. So even looking at the guy, you'd start laughing, right? Because you're expecting he's going to do something silly or whatever. But a lot of the. I don't know how to explain this, but a lot of the pranks or things that ended up happening as outtakes were having to do with my own bizarre sense of humor, and I'd be in the middle of a scene and going to do it, and I couldn't remember my line right, and I kind of have this defense mechanism when I don't remember something. I hit things, so I hit someone
Yes.
off camera. No, I don't know it, and so he'd be like, so thank God he was really big, but. But I brought him a lot of joy in that way because it was very easy to poke fun at me and get me laughing. And
it was, well, your on-screen chemistry over the years, your sort of, you know, that fiery attitude that soon softened when you became more than friends and became partners on the show. It was a joy to watch that blossom from the early stage and for you to start, you know, as you always did, call him Smallville. That was a nice touch. So that was always nice to see that blow.
That was a thing that I made up.
Really? Oh,
I made a mistake, and it was one of my first times there, and I was always really quite nervous. And I was doing some dialogue with him or whatever. I was supposed to be saying Clark, and then I was thinking, oh, I'm on Smallville right now. I'm on that show, and it just kind of went blah.
Wow.
And so
but it worked.
But it worked.
That's it. Hey. Way, well done. There we go. Now, yes, Supergirl and Lois Lane are iconic characters. Was there a way that you made the roles your own, or did you find inspiration from, say, other celebrities or people from your personal lives? So if we go for Helen first for that one.
That's a good question, making it my own. I mean, the big thing was learning to do this aerial ballet back in 1983, which we were up in Scotland shooting it, but we had practiced a lot at Pinewood Studios. They set up a space with wires and mattresses to kind of do this somersault and swan dives and kind of, so that was, yeah, I guess that was sort of their take on it, or my take on it. It was unusual too.
And Erica, obviously, the wonderful Margot Kidder appeared on Smallville, as did Terry Hatcher. Did you ever speak with those two lovely ladies over the years about you playing Lois Lane or?
I've never spoken with Terry, but I spoke with Margot. And I've said this a couple of times, because we just had our, like, one major interaction, and I was at a convention, I just started the part, and, you know, what ends up happening is you end up getting this job, and all of a sudden it's shooting, and it's going, and it's this very strange, surreal thing that happens in your mind, because you're working and putting your stuff out there, and it's going faster than you want it to go, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm just doing that, that's done, that's going to be out there, and people are going to look at that, and okay. And so you're kind of, you know, feeling, maybe, at least I was, a little bit nervous about how everything was going. And so I was in Toronto, and I talked to somebody about the show, and I turned and left, and I was waiting for the next person, and somebody grabbed me from behind, which was a little startling, and whispered in my ear, she said, "You hit it out of the ballpark, kid." And I turned around, and it was Margot Kidder. Wow. And it was one of the best moments of my life. Wow. And then she said another thing in my ear. She goes, "You never let him see you cry, honey." And I was like, "Geez, Louise, lady." Anyway, she's my hero, and she's the woman that I would hope to have say that she appreciated how it had been done, you know. And so I used her a lot for inspiration. And then I think what ends up happening too when you get a part, and it's a long part, is they give you the parameters, the creative team, they write it, they say we want this in it, and then they start to watch what you do. Then they write to you. So it ends up being this kind of this really strange amalgamation of parts of you, parts of your interpretation of their notes, and things that they find that work. And then so by the end of the show, they're writing a lot to your sense of humor, your way of delivering something, or something they've seen, you know, like you're saying with Tom and I in our chemistry group, something they've seen the way we work together, and when we made each other laugh, and so then they would write more to that, you know. So it ends up being a hybrid of all sorts of creative minds, I think.
Thank you. That's a lovely story about it, Margot. Thank you. Right, I've got one more question, and then we'll open it up to all you guys. So get your questions ready. You have both played multiple DC Comics characters, heroes over the years. Is there a role, not necessarily a superhero, that you would love to play, but what is your dream role that you would love to act out one day on film?
That's in the superhero?
No, yes, your dream role.
Excellent question.
Thank you. Sorry.
I want to keep working.
That's the good answer. That's a good answer.
I think that's a brilliant answer, and I second that. Just to keep working, to keep, you know, it's a privilege to be an actor, and it's hard to keep, it is hard to be in the long game as a marathon, and I think we both had the good fortune that we have continued to work, and I I hope for that to keep happening.
And we all hope that. We want to see that for many years. We want to see you come back and just keep doing what you do. So thank you so much for answering my questions. But let's get some out from the audience now as well. So get your hands up. We're going to get one down from the VIP section first of all.
You both have acted on Supergirl, and since we're bringing back characters in the older roles, would you play Lois or Supergirl again if they asked you to take up the role on Supergirl again?
Play Supergirl?
Yeah, again.
I'm 55.
You can do it. You can do it.
That's lady.
They've done it
Thank
before.
you for the compliment. I would love to be have superpower again. I think that would be awesome. You know, kind of a wise crone superpower lady, whatever that might be.
They've already cast Leslie for Supergirl.
Yeah, but they keep multiverse.
So
That's true.
yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a pretty easygoing person when it comes to stuff like that. If it works out in my life, it works out in scheduling. If I can drag Tom Welling back and make him wear the suit.
Yeah!
Get over yourself and put the suit on. When you're 6'5" and 200 and something, enjoy it. Wear the suit.
Hello. My question is pretty much directed at Helen, but anybody can answer. What was it like working in Pinewood Studios on the 007 lot?
I remember they had Cubby Broccoli, who's the famous producer of the 007 movies. They had big posters as you would drive in. It felt very old school rather. There were lots of movies being made. The Zucker brothers were shooting, and Jim Abrams were making, not Kentucky Fried, Top Secret with Val Kilmer. That was being shot, and I remember Harry Hamlin was in the conservatory making some movie maybe with Ursula Andress. That's where we probably met her back then. Or anyway, and one of the distinguishing factors of Pinewood Studios in England is they would have the tea trolley always at 4 o'clock, whether you were on the set or wherever, and a woman would just come in. It was so civilized and lovely with like the tea trolley, little scones, and that's a distinguishing thing of Pinewood Studios.
This is very true. Teas and scones, 24/7.
Oh, well, you know that.
I do know, yes.
It's such a nice ritual.
Thank you very much.
Again, welcome to Metropolis. Welcome back to Metropolis. Hi.
That was like the voice of God.
Oh, you should have never told me that. This is for whoever wants it. You're both celebrities. You have friends who are celebrities. So first, who's the most famous person in your phone right now? And second, will you put them on speakerphone and let us say hi?
In the pantheon of like celebrity people. I feel this is my honest answer to that. If I was more of like extroverted and more kind of like let's wrangle in the troops, but honestly I feel so shy about the whole celebrity fame thing anyway. I think my friendships are people, I don't know, just try and relate not on that level, but of course I'm so happy to be here and answer anything. I'm probably just disappointing you terribly, but that's the Should I say that or you? You go. That's true. You can call me.
I got nothing. Sorry. But you know, if you ever have Rosie here again, I'm sure he has many, many, many friends, because he's got lots and lots of friends. So what's really happening up here is that I'm admitting that I don't have a lot of friends. Or friends that I want to keep.
No, yes.
Hi there. I've got a question for Helen. Helen, did you ever have the opportunity to meet Christopher Reeve, and what was he like?
I did have the opportunity to meet him. I met him at Pinewood Studios, and then we did become friends. Just one of the kindest, sweetest men. I just did a Comic-Con in Birmingham, and Brandon Routh was there, and I have to say, I think he's been here, is that true?
Last year.
if you got a chance to meet him, it is uncanny how much his affect, just his persona, is like Chris Reeve. So if you want to get a sense of Chris, he really had that. And I have told this story before that it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. We were in New York City. Chris and I had had dinner, and we were hanging out on a park bench on Central Park West or Central Park South, and these 3 fire trucks, 2 or 3 fire trucks come zooming by, and Chris turns to me and he says, you know, here's Superman and Supergirl, and there's nothing we can do. But yeah, and just as an example of what he went through with his injury, and then how he just devoted his life to giving back and to being of service, and I think in terms of the definition of what a real superhero is, I think his life was a spectacular example of that, and we should all take a page from his playbook.
Yes. I've seen lots of people with the Christopher Reeve Foundation dog tag on this weekend, so that's a nice touch. It's nice to see that that legacy is still alive today, so it's fantastic.
When did you decide to become an actress?
It's a very good question.
That's a great question. Do you want to go first?
I always liked acting in school and stuff, so that's where I started doing all the plays and just pretty much anything, any kind of group, community theater and stuff like that. I grew up in a really, really small town. It was a farming town in Canada, in Alberta, and so we had these tiny, tiny little productions of plays and that sort of thing, and so I would always take the drama elective in school, and I think it's something I always loved. I didn't think I'd be able to maybe do it as a living, but
That's what you're talking about, Christopher Reeve. About 5 or 6 months before his accident, I was diagnosed with a fractured vertebra. I was 15 years old. I thought the world was over. You know, well, everything's huge when you're 15 years old. But he had his accident, and I found my strength in his strength. And going back, talking about Superman in general, I grew up in an abusive household, and he was just my hero. Like, every time my dad did whatever he was doing, like, I just have memories of laying on my floor, listening to Lois and Clark on the radio, because I wasn't allowed to watch it because I'd done something minorly bad, in the dark, just listening to Dean King and Terry Hatcher on the radio, because just lying on the floor in the dark, just, this is my life. But I found my strength in them. And I wanted to ask you, Erica, what was your favorite episode of Smallville? My favorite episode is the Dukes of Hazzard episode.
The Daisy Dukes.
gosh. Well, there's 100 and something, so I don't remember all of them. I can remember snippets of things I enjoyed. So, let's see. When I first got there, it was like first or second season, there was one where we all got to be witches, and that's because I got to hang out with Kristen, and all of us hung out together, which was really, really fun. They provide so many opportunities when you're doing sci-fi to just be many different things, and everything's explainable. And now, I cannot remember for the life of me the name of it, but it was in season 8, and it was when they were moving the Lois and Clark relationship along a little bit more, and gosh, I can't remember it. And they were on some kind of, there was a spy mission, and she was wearing this fuchsia button-up coat, and it was just, I think it was just because it was so romantic comedy, and they were bringing their romance up a little bit, which I really, really loved. And so, but I can't remember the name of it. So now I'm just talking ad nauseum about some weird outfit I wore once. But if you happen to ever see an episode, you'll know which one it is.
My question is, if you could ever go back and tell your younger self something, what would you say? Like advice of some kind?
You're okay.
Wow.
Just the way you are. And it'll be okay, it'll pass. Sometimes the big things you don't feel are gonna pass, but they always do. And you always have people that are there that love you. But essentially for me, it's always, I still have to tell myself that now. I'll go even to go to work or whatever, and I'll just be like, you're okay.
Beautiful, I second that. I second that. It's okay, you're okay. And I think there were times when I was really young, when I first started working, and it felt very overwhelming or scary at times. And if I could go back and just whisper in that feeling, like, it does pass. No matter the biggest feelings that you have, they don't stay in that place the whole time. It does go up and down. And even now, all these years later, it does still feel the same. Things are up and down. That is kind of the nature of how life is. I don't know, at least that's my view today.
I'm also I'm just like I feel fiercely and passionately defensive, not only of all of us that are adults, but of the young people that live in a world where everything's made that is out there, that's put out there in social media, and the fact that there's no distinction between reality and what's fake. So little snapshots of somebody's life, you know, their day still starts the same as yours. So if you're working all day at the same job that drives you crazy, and then you look on Instagram, somebody's in Paris. Yeah, well, they still start at the same day, the same way the day is, and they still have the same feelings that you feel, and it's just, I think, it's just good for everybody to know that that's there, and it's great, and it should be a fun little thing to look at, but that's not somebody's life, right? And especially for our business, we do it as a business. We're marketing ourselves as merchandise for jobs, for producers, for getting that next bit of work, right? But the reality is, it's kind of essentially, it's all the same, and we all have our days where we feel like it's mundane and boring, and we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, and we're never going to get this, and we're never going to get that. And I think social media can be super dangerous, and with the kids, they've grown up with it, and that's all they see. So I'm trying to, even though I have an Instagram that I started, and I'm flailing with because I do it myself. Apparently you're supposed to pay people to do that. So mine's really, really amateurish. But to kind of really fight for showing our kids and also showing ourselves that that's not real. It's fun, but it's not real. And I'm a real downer.
My question is, when you're making the movies or the TV shows, and there's a lot of camera angles, and I'm sure there's a lot of cuts while they do the scene changes or shooting from different person to different person, how do you manage to keep the emotions consistent to make a complete scene? Because to me that's amazing. That's an actor and actress. And how do you guys do that?
I mean, that is acting technique, I would say. And it's very different in film and television than in theater because of that exact thing, the stop-start nature, you might be good when, you might have the emotion totally filled up when it's on your scene partner's close-up, and then the camera turns around and you're dry, you feel you're not, and that is, I mean, I feel, I don't know if you have had this experience, but with all the acting classes, I continue to take class and to study, and I coached on my movies. I sort of always had an acting coach just to help with that, to be prepared. But as I get older, I really feel the single most crucial thing, and not just for acting, but like for everything, is to relax. And that if the body is relaxed, if you can get a message to just rest the shoulders, soften the belly, just no matter what it is, you can probably, it may not be the expectation of weeping if that's the big emotional scene, but at least you'll be relaxing the mind, relaxing the body, and then go back into the creative thing. That's been my sort of feeling about it lately.
That's good. I'm good. It also depends how you work as an actor. So for me, I have to know technically what's going on in every single shot. So if I have a scene, for example, that is particularly emotional, I'm going to ask my director, what are your shots for this? How are you going to do it? How are you going to shoot it? What's the size?
Because you're a director!
Because that's the way my brain works. But then I can relax, because then I can plot the emotional graph of what I need to do for that. Now that's a very technical way of looking at it, but if I don't know that, then I find that I can't get into here. So some people start here, some people start here, and then they go into here. And then you're lucky if you have a scene partner that's super generous with you, directors that are generous, and again, it all depends on like the shot, right? Like, say for example, you're doing a scene and you're tapped out, you have no more energy left, and you're really tired. You can always ask your director to push in a little bit on you, because when the camera pushes in on you a little bit, it helps the audience feel more, and therefore you feel less pressure. And sometimes you can do that for a take, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there it is, I thought it was gone. It's a lot of the pressure that you put on yourself, and then you learn to relax. And then, I don't know if you found this as well, but actors like to think that they know which ones are the good ones. So you're like, I emoted everywhere, there was snot, it was so free, and I felt great, and everybody behind the camera was like, oh, it was too much. And they love the other one.
You're not always the best judge of it.
You're not always the best judge of it, but the point is, and I hate to throw this word around because a lot of actors do this, but it just has to be honest, right? Like, you just have to be listening and be truthful and be open. And so a lot of us go for, especially as women, because that seems to be our form, is to be the criers. That's still we still push that. But what people are looking for when they're watching it is honesty. So honesty may not be that. Question.
Hi. Everyone's heard of the supposed Superman. Are you laughing at my socks?
I love them. I haven't seen those Superman socks before.
Thank you. Oh, they were a gift. Everyone's heard of the supposed Superman curse for actors. So my question for you all is, coming into fame in roles that are so iconic like you did you find that it was in any way limiting for you, or did that open a lot of doors for you in your careers?
Well, for me, I went on from Supergirl. I did Legend of Billie Jean right after Supergirl, which was sort of its own other. And then I don't feel like it limited. I feel like doing like Ruthless People, The Secret of My Success, City Slickers, these movies where I didn't feel I was getting penned in as much. But that might also have been because I only did one Supergirl movie as opposed to 3 Superman films. So I might have had more leeway because of that.
I'm not sure. You know, I think that the journey of an actor is so strange and it's so bizarre. And one thing will work for one person, and the other recipe is it's going to be somebody else. And to be honest, I didn't expect to work as an actor. And I always knew it's like a revolving door, and you're going to go in, and you're going to do your thing for a while, and you're going to go out, and you're lucky if you get to go back in again. And so I kept looking for that door to like kick me out. And yeah, you're going to take some downtime. But I think it's more about, for me, it's more about looking at the things that I want to do. And then I don't feel like so stressed out about, oh my God, I'm not going to get this role because I played Lois once, 7 years ago. I'm going to go, okay, I feel like doing this project now or that project now. And so I find my map that way. And I think it really depends on who you are and kind of what you're meant to do too. And I think as well, I'm open to a variety of types of things in mediums. So whether it's, I know people that aren't open to doing movie of the weeks, I think they're totally fine and I love them, and I watch like the Hallmark Christmas movies like a crazy person at Christmas because they're so fun. So my view of that is, and that's kind of part of my personality, I kind of float around and then find what's, I think that'll be fun, like I work with my friends, great. I don't overthink it. And I have friends that kind of overthink themselves out of stuff instead of just kind of going for it and going, oh good, it's still working. So.
Hello, ladies. First of all, I want to thank you, Erica, for Lois Lane, beautiful, iconic. You were just beautiful. And for you, Helen, when I was growing up and watched, The Legend of Billie Jean, I had a lot of stuff going on when I was a child that was, abusive and stuff like that. And I think that when you played that, I grew up with also a medical conformity called NF, so I was, really made fun of a lot and chastised and cast out. But I think when I saw you, you were like the voice behind me saying, I'm not going to let no one push me around, and I'm going to stand up for what's right, and I look to you just saying, wow, I think every girl had that wow moment. I want to be just like her because you taught us how to believe in ourselves and how to just empower ourselves. And I just want to say thank you to both of you ladies because you really taught us girls that we could stick up for ourselves and we don't ever have to deal with nobody. What's fair is fair. So thank you so much.
This question for Helen. Helen, I was 11 years old when Supergirl came out, so I used to have a crush on you back then. But anyway, that's not the question. The question is, what was the most difficult scene you had to do in your career, you know, where you really have to like refocus and say, okay, I gotta get my head in gear because it's a very difficult scene. I need to do this.
That's a really good question. I did this movie Ruthless People with Bette Midler and Danny DeVito, and there was a scene where this is kind of callback to what we were talking about a little bit ago. I had a scene where I had to let her know that Danny DeVito wasn't going to pay the ransom to get her out. You know, that I had to give her the bad news that her husband just didn't love her enough to save her. And I had worked with an acting coach and had all my sensory preparation, and it just wasn't there. The emotion wasn't there. And Bette Midler said to me, let's try a take where you imagine that you're telling me I have cancer. And so and then the scene, it just sort of, whatever, I was open, it just sort of, the emotion was there, the girls crying, teary crying thing was there. I mean, but it was very scary to feel that it wasn't there, that I didn't feel honest. I felt like I was faking. It was such a, and to have my acting partner and someone esteemed as Bette Midler be reaching out to a 22-year-old and going, try this, or let's try that. That was, even though it was one of the most difficult moments to feel like I'm blowing the movie, it was also a very reassuring moment that there are actors and actresses that have your back, that want you to do great work, that really look out for you. So that was, I would say that's in that wheelhouse of what you're asking.
We've got time for one more question.
One more question, guys. Who thinks they have the best question?
Thank you. A question for each of you. Helen for Supergirl, Erica for Lois. Just curious, what was the audition process like? Were you approached to do the role? Was it a long audition? If you just wouldn't mind commenting on that. Thank you.
You want to go? You just talked for a bit, so I'll give you a breather. So I was auditioning in Vancouver, and I actually didn't want to go in. I had just had a really bad pilot season where things did not pan out the way I wanted to. A pilot season is basically all of us go down to LA and we fight for 5 jobs. And so it didn't go well, and I was in a bit of a snit. And then I got the call for Lois, and I went.